We are going to do a literary analysis of The Chocolate War by Robert Cormier, and you're going to be following the directions on how to annotate properly for this class. Before we begin, you need to make sure that you have these three things. You need to make sure that you have a pen, a pencil, and a highlighter. I personally believe that doing any annotations in pencil is the best idea. That way, if you mess up, you can erase and you don't have to do all these scribbles. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump right in annotating the text. The first thing that I want to show you is this. A lot of times what people are going to do is they're going to see excerpt from The Chocolate War by Robert Cormier. They're going to see this as a bunch of background information, and for some reason we don't really count this as important. So they immediately start reading from here. Okay, this is very important, guys. You cannot skip this. You have got to start here. So do not skip this part. So the first thing that we do whenever we look at our annotations is we do exactly this. You're going to read it through one time, and you're going to circle any unfamiliar words. And when you circle those words, you need to go ahead and grab your phone, Google the definition, look it up, and write the definition above it. So for instance, as I am reading this, what I'm going to be seeing here is, and I'm going to use my highlighter, or excuse me, no, I'm just going to go ahead and start reading. At Trinity, a Catholic preparatory school, the socially inept 15-year-old freshman Jerry E. Renault makes the football team. Let's say that I don't know what inept means. So I look up the word inept and I find out that it means clumsy. So now I'm going to write clumsy above it. A gang, a secret society, compiles a list of socially ostracized students with the aid of OB, the Vigils Nerd-like treasure. Let's say that I don't know what ostracized means, so I'm going to circle that. I'm going to look that up in Google, and I'm going to find out that it means left out. And a little further, Jerry becomes a nonconformist hero for some and a target of hatred for others. Let's say that I don't know what nonconformist means. I'm going to circle that, and I'm going to find out that it's pretty much a person who is a rebel. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do as I go throughout the entire text. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to find any words that I don't know the meaning of. I'm going to Google the definition, and I'm going to write the definition below. So I went through the entire excerpt, and as I read, I didn't know what sinews meant, and I found out that that meant ligaments, simultaneously, at the same time, pervaded, went through, mutinied means rebelled, lassitude means weakness, and trudge is to walk heavily. So those are the major vocabulary words that maybe I didn't know. And so I Googled those, I looked them up, and I simply wrote a very simple definition of it right above the word. So now I have a really good idea of exactly everything the author was saying. Okay, vocabulary is not going to get in my way. So as you see here on the annotating text, you circle any words that you're unfamiliar with and you look them up. Put a question mark next to anything that's uncertain. Put a star next to something you think is important. Put an exclamation point next to something dramatic or a key turning point. Highlight or put a square around any name or character the first time they are mentioned. Okay, now what I'm going to do is when it says highlight or put a square, I'm going to use highlighting. You're welcome to put a square if you want. So the very first thing that I have here is, and I'm just going to go through the box area. At Trinity School, a Catholic boys preparatory school. So I'm going to highlight Trinity School because that's the name of something. The shy, socially inept 15-year-old freshman Jerry Renault makes the football team despite his small stature. He struggles on the field during practice, but he cannot keep up with the other teammates and is often berated by a strict coach. So I'm going to highlight coach. The Vigils. A gang in a secret society compiles a list of socially ostracized students with the aid of OB. The Vigils Nerd-like treasure. These outcasts will be assigned to perform prank assignments as part of their Vigil initiations. Jerry Renault is on Archie's list, as is Roland the Goober Goober. The next prank is to be the chocolates and is to be designed to disrupt the school's annual fundraising chocolate sale. The world of Trinity School is turned upside down when freshman Jerry Renault refuses to sell chocolates for the school's annual fundraiser. Jerry becomes a nonconformist hero for some and a target of hatred for others. So these are all the people that I have seen so far that they have been mentioned the first time. And as you see, they're mentioned inside that box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list of the characters. So on my annotating text page, I have taken the 3x3 post-it note and I have placed it here, and I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to simply just draw a line in between it, and this is where I'm going to make my character list. Now for this, I'd like to use pen. So the very first name that I come across is Trinity School. So I'm going to write Trinity School, and I'm going to write down any trait that is about. So it's a Catholic prep school. The next name is Jerry Renault. And it says he is shy, socially inept, he's 15, he's a freshman, and he is trying out for the football team. The next name is the coach. And it says that he likes to berate Jerry. And that's all we hear about him. So I'm going to go through this list and I'm going to finish this list. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the text again, and now that I have read it once and identified words that I'm not familiar with, and I'm going to find places to put a question mark, to put stars next to, exclamation points, and that's the next thing that I'm going to do. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out that, okay, now what I need to do is, okay, do the question mark, put a star next to something that you think is important, an exclamation point next to something that you think is dramatic or a key element. I need to write a 5 to 10 word summary of what happened in each particular paragraph that, is a big paragraph. On a separate sheet of paper, you need to keep a list of characters and their traits, give each excerpt, which is just this one, a chapter title of your own, and this should be the main idea. And then here on this post-it, you're going to write the summary. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I found Trinity School. The coach, he berates Jerry. He's got a scar on his cheek. He has stubble. The Vigils is a gang of secret society. Obie is a nerd-like treasurer. Archie is a vigil, and Jerry's on his list. Roland Goubert, the goober, he's tall and he's a receiver. Jerry's mother is dead. Jerry's father is alive. So those are that's the information about the characters and their traits that I have put on this side of the paper. After I am finished with everything else, I'm going to write a summary here. So the next thing that I did is I went ahead and, okay, is there something that I didn't quite understand? This doesn't give me any information about Archie other than I can assume that he is one of the Vigils because he has that list of ostracized students and Jerry is on his list. So just to make sure, I put a question mark and then I put Archie there because later on, if I were to read this book, I would want to confirm exactly who Archie is. Here, it says, rising to his feet, he saw the field through drifting gauze, but held on until everything settled into a place like a lens focusing. I have no idea. Maybe I have no idea what this means. Maybe I've never been concussed or played football a day in my life. So I have no idea what this means. So I would put a question mark by this, and I would ask somebody next to me. I would be like, what do you think this means? And maybe that person has been concussed. Maybe that person has played football. And they would tell me, oh yeah, he's totally beat up, and that's what it feels like when you're beat up. So then I go through the rest of the story, and I would want to know from this paragraph, why is he even trying out for the football team? So I'm going to put a question mark and put why right here. Here it says he made the team. So for me, since I'm reading about a character who lacks a lot of confidence, I'm going to put an exclamation point here because this has got to be a major turning point in the story. Stars next to exclamation points. Okay, and then right here, I have an exclamation point because I'm wondering, is this a major character turning point? I put a star here because they mentioned something about his mother and his father, and I'm pretty sure that I have reasoned from here that his mother is dead and his father is still alive. Here is where he's talking to himself, and I'm thinking, wow, that's kind of cool. You know, I noticed that even when he's talking to himself, he lacks confidence. He's like, I'm going to make the team. And then his self says, dreamer, dreamer, not a dream, it's the truth. So even here, he's used to doubting himself. So I'm going to put a big star by that because I think that that's important. The next thing that I did is I went ahead and did what the annotation page said. 5 to 10 word summary of what happened in that particular paragraph. So, he's beat up in the tryouts. Coach is testing you. He feels alone. He fumbles the ball. He wants to give up. He decides to continue. He doesn't stand up to the coach. The coach is sizing him up. Why quarterback? Description of the coach. He makes the team, and I put an exclamation point because I did feel that that was important. He's overjoyed. He talks to himself. His feeling after tryouts. He's nauseous. He collapses, and he throws up. Those are the right margin annotations, anywhere from 5 to 10 words. I'm not looking for complete sentences. I'm not looking for sentence structure. These are notes so you can have a quick reference to anything that might come up. I mean, imagine for a second that you have done these exact annotations, and later on I ask you a question about the description of the coach. You would know to go right to paragraph 17. So after I have annotated and put a 5 to 10 word summary of all the major paragraphs in there, I'm going to come up with a chapter title or an excerpt title. And I decided that after reading this entire thing that a proper title was Made the Team but Almost Died. And you know what? When you think about it, that is the main idea of this entire paragraph. Jerry Renault makes the football team, but he almost gets killed in the process. So now the very next thing that I would do is I would choose to write a summary about this particular excerpt. So what I did is I thought long and hard, and I figured, okay, well, here's how I want you to do a summary. I want you to think of it this way. Let's say that for homework, your job was to read this excerpt. You read it and your best friend didn't. I'm walking around getting ready to give everybody a pop quiz. I'll be around you guys in 30 seconds. What can you tell your friend in 30 seconds that is going to give him a fighting chance to pass this quiz? So, Jerry Renault is trying out for the football team. He is mercilessly punished. He overcomes his desire to quit. He finds inner strength. The coach tells him he made the team. Jerry struggles to walk to the locker room. He throws up. That's the summary. Bam! You just told your friend everything they need to know. Your friend has a fighting chance at answering the questions for this pop quiz. That's the summary. Your summary should take up this 3x3 note card, and that's about it. I figured that that's going to be enough for you to learn today. So what we're going to do next time is that we're actually going to apply the what, how, why chart, and we're going to look into this thing even deeper and further. I will see you next time.